And we're all just sitting there in silence. I hear pages turning. Everybody's reading through it. And finally, Stallone passes judgment and he says, "Hey, it works." It works. He liked what I came up with.
Nice. Hey guys, in today's video we're going to talk about the 80s classic Rambo 3. With me, my guest today, Sheldon Lettich, amazing writer-director who worked with Stallone in writing Rambo 3, and he's going to share that experience. And funny enough, Rambo 3 could have potentially taken place in Siberia, so make sure to stay until the end of the video because I'm going to talk more about that. But anyway, please help support the channel by hitting the like button, subscribing, sharing the video. And don't forget, you can now get your official Viking Samurai merchandise. Check the link below. And with that said, let's get on to this discussion. So you wrote Rambo 3 with Stallone.
Right.
Did you, how closely were you with Stallone writing that? Did you guys communicate directly, or was it more with his company?
No, we communicated directly.
Oh, did you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He read a script of mine that he really liked, a Vietnam script called Firebase. Called into his office, actually met with him face to face. And then we both came up with pretty much the same idea, which is that Rambo should go to Afghanistan. This was early 80s. Soviets were in Afghanistan. So it was kind of similar to Rambo 2. Basically, Soviets were the bad guys.
Sure.
In that one also, but it was in Vietnam. Well, now the Soviets they're in Afghanistan and they're wreaking all kinds of havoc. And the CIA has been secretly sending weapons to the Mujahideen. Doesn't that sound like a perfect situation to throw Rambo into? So we both had pretty much the same idea about that. And then he got cold feet about it, and he had me write another version that took place in Siberia, of all the weird places. So I wrote a version like that, not a full screenplay, just a treatment.
Sure. Hey guys, for more on that whole Rambo and Siberia thing, check out a previous video I did titled Rambo Movie Ideas That Almost Got Made. Also, I will put the clip from my older video at the end of this one if you want to stay into the end and get a little idea about this whole Rambo and Siberia idea.
And then basically came back to Afghanistan, and that's what we went with.
How was Stallone collaborating with them?
I got along great with him. Although I would do my thing. I would do my writing, and then give it to him, and then he would do his own writing. And then actually, so he took over for a while, and then got himself painted into a corner, and didn't know how to get out of it. Get out of there! So, and that stalled the film for a while. And he called me, and I go to a meeting with I'm not sure if it was his house or Mario Casar. But we had this big meeting. It was probably Stallone's house.
Okay.
And we're all sitting around in the living room. And there were problems. So I said, well, let me take all this material here and let me try to work it into a treatment and try to make it all work. So I did. I went home, did some writing, came in with a treatment. It was maybe 8 pages long. So we go back to his house. I handed out copies to everybody, and it's like Mario Casar and Andy Vanya and Stallone and a few of Stallone's bodyguard guys, and I think Russell Mulcahy might have been in that meeting with us. And we're all just sitting there in silence. I hear pages turning. Everybody's reading through it. And finally, Stallone passes judgment and he says, "Hey, it works." It works. He liked what I came up with.
Nice.
Basically, I just kind of restructured everything, and he liked that. And so I went back in and did a draft. And he did most of what is in the movie. Most of the dialogue, especially, is Stallone. Stallone wrote most of that dialogue.
I'm no tourist.
But structurally, it was really mine structurally. I'm the one who basically came up with the 3-act structure. Troutman being captured by the Soviets. Here's what we came up with. So the CIA is supplying Stinger missiles to the Mujahideen to bring down the Russian helicopters.
Now again, where are the missiles?
I don't know anything about any missiles.
Of course you do.
And Stallone's initial idea was Troutman comes to him and says, hey, I need some help in Afghanistan. I got to deliver some Stinger missiles to the Afghans. And Rambo just says, okay, Sam, let me just get my gear. All right. It was that simple, like, let me get my gear.
It's always better to have the reluctant hero, right?
But that was basically
like, all right, I'm on board, let's do it.
That's
kind
what
of
I
boring.
told
It's not dramatic.
Like, being a Vietnam vet myself and knowing a bunch of them, I told him, Sly, I don't think that would be Rambo's reaction. And one thing that's great about Rambo, one thing that makes him so appealing is that he's the baddest badass in the world, but he doesn't want to fight. Okay, he'll walk away from a fight. You can try to entice him into a fight, and he's going to say, "No, I don't want to fight. You win." He'll
your idea, real quick, Sheldon, basically, I guess, inspired my favorite scene in the movie. I know you said Stallone wrote most of the dialogue, but my favorite scene in Rambo 3 is where they're like in that temple in Thailand, and Troutman gives him that "When are you going to come full circle" speech.
Right.
That is my favorite scene.
You may try, but you can't get away from what you really are.
And what do you think I am?
A full-blooded combat soldier.
Yeah. Stallone wrote that.
Yeah, but it was kind of your idea to make him reluctant, and then obviously,
it was definitely my idea because I told him, look, Rambo he's been to hell and back too many times. He doesn't want to fight anymore. If anything, even if his best friend Troutman comes to him and asks him to go to Afghanistan, Rambo, he doesn't want to do it. He's had enough of war, enough of killing. He's seen enough dead bodies. I can't do this anymore. So sorry, Sam, but I got to say that I'm declining.
Colonel, sorry, but it's got to end for me sometime.
I'm going to go back here to living in the monastery. I'm not sure. I think we both came up with the idea of him living in a monastery or something, basically pursuing a peaceful path,
Sure.
Not wanting to be a warrior anymore, even though that's the one thing he's really great at. So then Troutman goes in without him, and it's doubtful that Troutman would have went there alone. They probably would have taken some special forces guys with them. But anyways, this worked out better. So then Troutman gets captured. So now, because Rambo said no to his friend came to him asking for help. Rambo says no. Now his friend is captured by the Soviets. So now he's feeling guilty also. He should have gone with him. It gives us some really good motivation for him to go to Afghanistan and rescue Troutman.
Can you get me in?
You're not serious.
Oh yeah, I'm serious.
Because otherwise, without that, it's just us two guys going in and kicking ass on these Russians and giving the Afghans their Stinger missiles. This turned it into a real human story.
Yeah.
Basically, one friend asks the other for help. The guy says, "No, sorry, I just can't do this anymore. So you're going to have to go without me." And then he goes without him, ends up getting captured. Now he needs help. There's one guy that would know how to come to the rescue and get him out of that predicament is Rambo, the guy who turned him down the first time. So now Rambo goes there. So now you've got the two of them. The two of them basically kicking ass on lots of Soviets and helping the Afghans. That was the basic story. But that's pretty much how we came up with that.
Yeah, and that's what makes these movies so good and so memorable. Like you said, it makes it a human story. It's really that
Right.
setup that really keeps you on board, right? Like if you didn't have a good setup and you just went straight to the action, like, okay, it's just action, but like making it more of a human story, you just relate and you care about the characters and everything.
Rambo's he's not itching for a fight.
Yeah.
Okay. He's not looking for action. He's had enough action. So the fact that he's a reluctant hero makes him more appealing to a wider audience.
Yeah,
Rather than a guy that says, okay, let me get my gear and my gun, and we're going, you know.
What does this work?
It's a blue light.
What does it do?
Turns blue.
Otherwise, he'd be like those guys that invaded the Capitol. You know, like, hey, we're here with our guns and our camo gear. We're going to kick some ass.
yeah.
That's what he'd be like that. Okay, but no, he's not. He wants nothing to do with it unless it's personal, and it becomes personal when Troutman gets captured.
Yeah, speaking of invading the Capitol real quick, because I know you're aware of this, but Bloodsport is one of Donald Trump's favorite movies.
Oh, absolutely.
And I always make the comment, say what you want about Donald Trump. I think we have to agree he's got great taste in movies.
Well, the others on his list of like top 10 movies were, Citizen Kane, The Godfather. So yeah, the guy's got good taste.
Bloodsport's right up there with them, man. That's like
Bloodsport's right up
the
there.
Citizen Kane of action martial arts films.
Well, yeah, I guess you'd have to say that. Yeah, when it comes to action martial arts films, this is the Citizen Kane of karate movies.
Yeah. So I told you guys at the beginning of the video that I'd share the idea what almost became Rambo 3. This was talked about by Sheldon Lettich, co-writer of Rambo 3, during an interview he did with UltimateActionMovies.com, which I'll link in the description below. This alternate story idea came about because Stallone and the producers of Rambo 3 at the time began to worry that Afghanistan was too much of a political hot potato, and also that the Soviets might pull out of Afghanistan before the movie was released, which actually did end up happening. So one of the alternate versions of Rambo 3 that was written took place in Siberia and entailed Rambo rescuing a downed American pilot before the Soviets can get their hands on him. That's pretty much the movie Behind Enemy Lines with Owen Wilson that was released in 2001. But essentially, it could have ended up being Rambo meets Cliffhanger. Count me in, I'd love to see that. So anyways, that's the video, guys.